Hi, boys and girls. This is Ms. Kathy. I'm so happy you've joined me today for another story just for you. Joseph's Adventures in Egypt. In Egypt, Joseph was sold to Potiphar, the captain of the Pharaohs, the king's guards. Joseph worked hard, and God made everything he did work out well. Before long, Potiphar put Joseph in charge of everything in his house. Joseph took care of all the people who worked for Potiphar, all of Potiphar's money, and everything that Potiphar owned. Joseph was strong and handsome and kind. After some time, Potiphar's wife thought she was in love with Joseph. "Come and be with me," she whispered to him. Joseph knew that was wrong. "Potiphar trusts me," he told her. "I cannot do something like that to him. It would be a sin against God." But Potiphar's wife talked to Joseph every day, trying to be with him. One day, Joseph was the only man in the house. Potiphar's wife grabbed him by the coat and insisted, "Come and be with me." But Joseph pulled his arms out of his coat and ran out of the house. Potiphar's wife was so angry that she told the other servants that Joseph had attacked her. When her husband came home, she told him the same thing. Potiphar had Joseph arrested and thrown into prison. But God was still with Joseph, even in prison. Joseph didn't spend his time being angry or sad. He helped the warden and other prisoners. Before long, the warden chose Joseph to take care of all the prisoners, and again God made everything that Joseph did work out well. After this, the king's baker and the king's butler, the one who served his wine, were thrown into Joseph's prison. Before they had been there for very long, they each had a dream on the same night. The next morning, Joseph saw that they were worried and asked them what was wrong. "We both had dreams," they said, "and there is no one to tell us what they mean." Joseph said, "Only God can explain the meaning of dreams. Tell me about yours." Joseph must have been praying for God's help as he listened. The butler said, "I dreamed of a vine with 3 branches. I watched the leaves grow, then the grapes. When they were ripe, I squeezed the grape juice into a cup and served it to the king." Joseph explained, "The 3 branches stand for 3 days. Before 3 days go by, the king will set you free and allow you to work again as his butler. But please, when you are free, remember me. Tell the king about me and how I was brought to Egypt as a slave and did nothing to deserve prison." The butler promised that he would. Since the butler's dream meant something good, the baker told Joseph his dream. "I dreamed there were 3 baskets of bread on my head. The top basket had special baked breads for the king, but birds came and ate that bread out of my basket." This time, Joseph spoke sadly. "The 3 baskets mean 3 days. Before 3 days go by, the king will have you killed." 3 days later, the king threw a big party for his birthday. In front of all his guests, he brought out the butler and the baker. The butler was given his job again, and the baker was killed, just as Joseph had said. But the butler forgot all about Joseph. 2 years later, the king had a dream. It worried him, so he gathered all the wise men of his kingdom to explain it, but no one could. Finally, the butler remembered Joseph. "When I was in prison, a young man there explained a dream to me, and he was exactly right." With barely enough time to clean up and put on new clothes, Joseph was rushed in to see the king. The king said, "I have had a dream that no one can explain. I hear that you can explain a dream if someone tells you about it." Joseph answered, "I cannot explain the meaning of dreams, but God will explain it for you through me." So the king said, "In my dream I was standing on the bank of the Nile River. 7 fat, beautiful cows came out of the river and ate the grass. Then 7 of the thinnest, ugliest cows I have ever seen came out of the river and ate the 7 fat cows, but they were still as thin and ugly as before. Then I woke up. When I went back to sleep, I had another dream. I saw 7 good, healthy heads of grain growing on one stalk of wheat. Then 7 thin and weak heads popped up and ate the good ones. I've told these dreams to my wise men, but no one could explain them." Joseph nodded. "Both of these dreams mean the same thing. God is telling you what is about to happen. The 7 good cows mean 7 years of good crops and plenty to eat in all the land of Egypt. But after those years, 7 bad years will follow when crops will not grow and the people will be so hungry they will forget about the good years." The king asked, "What can I do?" Joseph thought, "God showed you this because it is going to happen soon. The king should choose a wise man and put him in charge of the land of Egypt. Then with officers in every town, he will take 1/5 of all the food during the good years and store it away. Then when the bad years come, there will be enough food to keep the people alive." The king and his officers agreed. "This is a good plan." Then the king said, "Joseph, God has shown you this, and he is with you. I am putting you in charge of my whole country." Joseph had kept his promise and served God even when it wasn't easy. It was hard to wait all those years in prison, but God had a plan to use Joseph when the time was right. Now Joseph was an officer of the king. Now Joseph could save the people of the land of Egypt and many others.
The story you have heard today is from the Shoebox Kids Bible Stories, written by Jerry D. Thomas and used with permission from the Pacific Press Publishing Association. If you're interested in any other books published by the Seventh-day Adventist Church, please visit AdventistBookCenter.com or call 1-800-765-6955.
This podcast is a production of the Carolina Conference of the Seventh-day Adventist Church.